Hi friends, welcome. I have not done this in a bit, and usually when I make one of these videos, it's usually me telling you about a trip I'm going on or something exciting happening in my life, but today is just kind of a day off for me, and I've been wanting to make this video for quite a little bit, and today I just decided I need to do it. So I'm just here in Buffalo, New York, just gonna talk to you guys about something. But before I get to it, I gotta be one of those people that tells you and pleads to you, if you want, to go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Link is either up there or down there. It's probably up there. I don't know. This is still a new thing. I don't usually ask people to subscribe, but if you want, subscribe, and then you can comment on YouTube or on here and let me know like if you like this video or what else you would maybe like to hear from me. So yeah, do that and then let's get into it. The reason I am making this video is because I recently just came out of a season of life that was just a very growing one for myself. And the number one thing that I feel like the Lord has always given me is vulnerability in my soul and heart. And I feel like it's very important to share with you guys behind the camera and people one-on-one in my life, my heart, and just be vulnerable about what goes on and what happens, because I think the world tells us that we're alone in a lot of the situations we go through, but I don't think we are. I think many people right around us, without us knowing, are going through very similar things. So what I actually want to talk to you about is identity and how I kind of came to know my true identity in this season that I just went through. So coming back home from Alaska a few months ago, and I moved back in with my parents, and I came home and I did not have a job, and I actually sold my car while I was in Alaska, so I had no car either. So I guess just the feelings of any sort of independence that I once had were kind of like not there for me. Something that I've always been identified with is travel and adventures and always being somewhere new, because that's what people see on social media that I do pretty often. But you know, it's funny because that's not my identity. I'm actually not traveling the majority of the time. It's just when I post, I'm posting things of excitement. But that's something I also struggled with, though, is, you know, not being somewhere new and exciting and being back in Buffalo. And I struggled with, like, okay, well, if I'm not somewhere exciting, like, you know, are people even going to care about me? You know, are people going to, like, want to know what's going on in my life if I'm not in Alaska or Haiti or something and I'm just home in Buffalo? So that's something that I've always identified with, is plane tickets and adventures. And then about a month in to going through this stuff and just kind of like having a hard time being motivated and like finding where I was meant to be, I actually went through my first heartbreak. And if you've ever been through a heartbreak, I am sorry, and I pray that you never have to go through it again, because they absolutely like are just the worst and they suck. But this verse came to me in this time, and it's 1 Peter 5, 8 through 9. And it says, "Stay alert, watch out for your great enemy, the devil. He prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. Stand firm against him and be strong in your faith. Remember that your Christian brothers and sisters all over the world are going through the same kind of suffering as you are." I think the first thing out of this verse that kind of struck me, I've heard this verse multiple times growing up, but kind of realizing, well, first of all, I never want to give credit to Satan, to the enemy, of what he can do, because I don't want to give him credit because he just doesn't deserve it. But I think it would be really foolish of us to not know what he's capable of. And what he is best at, he is the master of. He is the reason that there's insecurities and war and all of that. We live in a fallen world. And Satan knows the cracks in your armor. He knew mine in these moments of feeling rejected and feeling unwanted that I once felt. And he knows your failures, he knows your fears, he knows your doubts, he knows your insecurities, he knows that you don't feel loved, he knows all these things, and I think he zones in on those things and attacks them really harshly. There's a day that I was really sad, and I was just sitting, you know, just thinking and reading or whatever I was doing, and I just had this picture in my head, and I was just in this open field, and I had all of my comforts that I've always had around me. I had, you know, my family and my loved ones, my friends, and my bank account and a home and clothes on my back and all these things. And I blinked and they were just gone. And it was not some like epiphany moment. It was the simplicity of the Lord saying to me, Holly, right now you're going through this. Right now you feel like your independence is stripped. You don't have income right now. You are not on a magical trip somewhere, and somebody you once thought you could love for a very long time is not here anymore. But Holly, like, who are you without these things? And my entire life, I grew up knowing that I was a daughter of the King. I was told over and over my entire life that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, that He will never leave me nor forsake me, that He knit me together, that I was made in His image. And I always knew it, and I always understood it, and I always worshipped Him for it, you know, praising Him. But I don't think I fully grasped it until these things were taken from me, and I felt kind of empty. I felt I didn't know where I was going. And it just kind of really like harshly, in a beautiful way, sunk in to my heart that He is enough for me. That at the end of the day, His words are true. When He tells me He loves me, it's not just a, I love you for now. It's a, I love you where you're at right now. And it's such a good feeling to come to that point, because I never realized I didn't know it. I always thought I knew it. I was always like, yeah, I love Jesus. I've always been the Christian girl. I've always been the one that's like, you know, posting Bible verses and inspirational things. But until these things were taken from my hands, I didn't realize the weight of His love. I don't want other people's validation on our lives to let it represent who we are. Because a boy might have said that they want to spend the rest of their life with you and their words fell short does not mean that some man is going to come into your life and not love you like crazy, because they will. And just because some girl called you ugly or called you fat doesn't mean you are. And because you didn't get that job you thought you were perfect for doesn't mean you're not good enough. I want you just to know that these things that the world lets define us should not define us. Because these things are temporary. God is eternal. He is forever. Jesus is love forever, every single day. He is the same yesterday and today and tomorrow. He does not change. And the best thing about it, guys, like, He takes you where you're at. You could have messed up more than you could count, and He will take you where you're at. That is the beautiful thing about it. He doesn't want a job. He doesn't want your clothes on your back, your car, the amount of money you have in your bank account, the way your Instagram feed looks, the amount of friends you have, your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, some boy that you have a crush on. He doesn't want those things to define who you are, because they don't define who you are. They are temporary. Unfortunately, He could take them away at any time. And if we put so much trust and so much of our lives into one thing, what if it is taken away from us? What are we going to do? What can we put our hope in and our trust in? And how can we still praise? This might not mean anything to you right now. It could just, you might have not even made it that far in the video, and you might have just shut it off because you're just not at that point. But I pray that you come to that point, that you just know how loved you are. And I'm going to keep saying it until you believe it, and I pray that others say it to you until you believe it. That Jesus loves you more than you could absolutely ever imagine. And I'm so thankful that I still get emotional when I think about it, because it's so unfathomable how much He loves us, how many times He'll forgive us, and how many times He will take you right where you're at. Even at your crappiest and worst parts of life, He just picks you up and just loves you. And I just think that that's so amazing. And I want so bad for you to be known as somebody that loves well and forgives people often and prays for people that hurt them, and just somebody that represents who Jesus is, because I think that that's the best person to represent, and that's the kind of identity that I want to identify with. That alone would be amazing. And especially something that I learned through this whole process of falling for somebody for the first time is guard your heart. It says, it's Proverbs 4:23, it says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. And I think that that's very important, especially for us ladies, because we fall way too fast, unfortunately. I'll leave you with one more verse that I think is very good. It is Romans 12:2, and it says, don't copy the behaviors and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect. And I have a sign right up here that says, you're better than that, stop conforming. And I try and remind myself, stop conforming to this world, stop thinking that these worldly things are what define me, because they don't. Jesus defines me. And man, am I thankful for that. But thanks for watching, guys. And I love you guys, and I'm praying for all of you out there that just, that you're confident in yourself and you can look in the mirror and see the person that God created you to be, because it is a beautiful one and you have purpose, let me tell you. All right, love you guys. Bye.